idea, I have the money, and I have the car. This is why tapping, like being poor, being broke can be an advantage. Why? Because it gives you the ability to tap into a level of creativity you can't tap into when you have money sometimes, because if you have money, you just say, I'll just pay somebody to do that. Oh, I'll just pay somebody to do that. I'll just pay somebody to do that. And I see all these entrepreneurs, they get started in business and they don't have any skills. And so they're paying people that they can't manage because they don't know what the person's supposed to be doing. Right? And so they outsource their marketing, they outsource their sales, they outsource their fulfillment, they outsource, and the next thing you know, all their money's outsourced. And the outsource is costing more than the income is bringing in. And I get that ideologically that's a good idea, but it would be a really good idea to learn how to do something. I'm so glad that when I started selling stuff on the internet, I'm so glad that I built my first website in Microsoft Front Page. It was so painful. It took me 30 days to build this website, hoping it was going to make me some money. It took me another 2 weeks to figure out, like, how do you connect a credit card processor thingy, whatchamacallit, to this? Because back then, just set up a Stripe account. No, you had to have a merchant account, a payment gateway, and one other thing. I forgot what. Authentication, something, or no. You had to have all this. I'm like, I don't even know what these words mean. I don't know what they mean, but I got to learn. So I'm like all day, 8 hours a day. Like, okay, build this website. You have to have an index.html. What does that even mean? Everybody's like, back in those days, everybody assumed who was teaching people how to build websites that everybody they were talking to knew everything they meant, what they meant. I didn't know what an index.html was. Oh, it's your root file. I don't know what that means. Like you start at the beginning, right? And know it. So it took me forever to figure it out, but guess what I did? I built my first website. It made money. So when I hired somebody to build websites for me, I knew what I was looking for. You tracking? And so many people, you want to hire somebody to outsource something you've never done, so you can't even manage the people. You don't know if they're doing a good job or not, because you don't even know what to expect from them. So tap into, like, not having money to throw at a problem will make you a better person. So let being broke inspire you to learn the skills necessary and tap into the level of creativity necessary to make you wealthy. Okay, I think this is probably ringing a higher level of poverty to multiply your intensity. What does that mean? Higher level of poverty. Take your poverty floor and raise it, and take your wealth ceiling and obliterate it. It'll change your life. What do you mean? Take your poverty floor and raise it. Okay. So can any of you on YouTube right now, or anybody in this room, can you remember when you got your first job? Remember your first job? Remember how excited you were? I'm going to have my own money. I don't have to ask my mom and dad. I'm going to have my own money. It's going to be great. I'll be able to buy those Converse All-Stars, right? Okay, that ought to tell you how old I am, right? Okay, there was no, a Nike, what's that? There was no such thing. Okay, anyway, so I remember my first job. I remember how much money I made. How much money did you make? Put it in the chat. I remember how much money I made my first job. My first job, I made $1.55 an hour. Oh yeah, I got my own money. And the reason I got the job was I asked my mom to buy me some Converse All-Stars. And she said, if you think I'm buying you some $13 sneakers, you are out your mind. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'll get a job by my own $13 sneakers. I got a job, and guess what? When I got paid, I'm like, I ain't buying no $13 sneakers with this check. I'm going to get me some Converse Coaches. They're only $7, right? So I didn't get the All-Stars. I got the Coaches, right? Okay, so some of y'all, you can relate, right? And so $1.55 an hour. Now, here's what's interesting about that. There's no universe in which I am willing to work for $1.55 an hour anymore. It's unacceptable. It doesn't matter how hungry I get. Not $1.55, I ain't doing it, right? So what is the amount of money you made at your first job that there's no universe in which you'd be willing to settle for anymore? Okay, because that tells you something about you. What does it tell you? That you have a standard. What does that mean? You have a poverty floor. And it's higher than it was when you got your first job. But guess what? It's lower than it could be. So what if $1.55 an hour for me, okay, unacceptable. What if you decided I am unwilling to work for less than $100 an hour? I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying, like, what if you decided that? Well, here's what would happen. All of the opportunities to make less than that would no longer be in your field of vision. And you'd start more opportunities that make that amount and more would come into your field of vision. Why? Because it became the thing you're looking for, right? See, I believe that one of the reasons so many high-level entrepreneurs are broke at a higher level is because their poverty floor is too low. My poverty floor is very high. What does that mean? I remember within the last couple of years, I looked at my accounts and I had less than $2 million. And I felt like I was broke. Like, what have I done? Where am I right now? Now, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, and some of you are probably going, oh, he's just flexing. No. Think about it. You have a standard. You have a number where if your money gets down below that number, you feel like, I better step it up, a little bit too much Netflix, a little bit too much golf, a little bit too much basketball. Maybe I better go do something a little different. I better go do, right? So we all have one. We all have a floor. And the only person who determined our poverty floor is us. So what's going to happen when you have a higher poverty floor? Well, now, let's say your poverty floor becomes, when I have less than $100,000 in my accounts, I'm like, oh no, I better get stepping, right? Or I had a month where I made less than $30,000. I better get stepping. I made less than $50,000. I better get stepping. So we all determine that. Here's what happened though. We determined it unconsciously. So because we determined it unconsciously, we're unconscious of it. And so until I started talking to you about it, you probably never thought about your poverty floor before. But some people are okay. Like, there are entrepreneurs who are okay with letting their bank accounts get down below, whatever number that is, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, 6 million, whatever, and it gets down below that, like, there are people, if not because I'm spending that much money, I don't spend anywhere near as much money as we generate. I'm not even close. It's not the point. The point is, I've created an environment where, like, if you imagine this. You make millions of dollars, and then you're broke. And then you're living on borrowed money. And then, like, you used to be the richest person all your friends knew, and now you're the poorest, right? And then, all of a sudden, you say, you bounce back. You're like, that was terrible. You know what's worse than being poor your whole life? Being poor, and then getting rich, and then being poor again. That's more worse, right? Okay, and so I said, I am not going to do that anymore. Okay, one of the ways that I can keep from that from happening again is like to elevate my poverty floor so that it's so high that if I get down below a certain amount, it's like all the alarms start going off. Ding, 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 right? Alarms start going off. There is no number. There's no magic number. You just have yours. I have mine. We all have our number. And so what happens in your life when you say to yourself, never again will I allow all of my accounts to get below $10,000. Never again will I let all my accounts get below $100,000. Never again will I let all my accounts get below $250,000 or $500,000. Or like to me, my new level, like poverty for me now equates to having less than, and then you give it, or poverty income equates to me making less than X amount of dollars in a month. See how it just, you made the standard. Still have the $3 million and the offer, and I'll have the apartment building. Right? So all of us can do that though, but most of us don't. Why? Because nobody ever told us to, and we never thought of it before. But this is coming from a guy who was rich, and then poor, and now rich again, and don't ever plan on going back to being poor. And I'm telling you what I've learned from that so you don't have to experience the same thing. Okay, cool. So elevate your poverty floor. Like if you have a higher level of poverty, what happens is it multiplies your intensity. When you start getting close to that number, or you get below that number, like your I've got to get to work like mode like kicks into high gear. Okay, and then have a poverty fantasy and a prosperity reality instead of the other way around. What? Have a poverty fantasy and a prosperity reality instead of the other way around. What does that mean? One of the biggest reasons aspiring entrepreneurs never get rich is because they spend too much of their money attempting to look rich. People to know about you is keeping it from ever coming true. Oh, snap. Right? You go out and you make 500 grand and you think, oh my goodness, I'm rich now, I'm gonna go buy that car. $500,000, you're gonna go buy a car? Baby, don't do that. Look broke. Look broke and be rich. And I know. Some of y'all are looking at me, but Myron, you have nice cars. I know. But watch this. I have nice cars that I don't need them at all. I just bought them because I liked them. Don't need them. And a couple of them I paid cash for, which I don't ever like to do, but the bank was getting on my nerves, taking too long, so I just wrote a check. And it didn't hurt me. It didn't, I mean, why am I telling you this? Like, I don't even like paying cash for cars. It's dumb. Are y'all tracking? I bought my Rolls Royce and my wife's Escalade on the same day. And the bank was just taking too long to get back with me. And I don't like hassle. And I don't want to wait for phone calls, and I don't want to do a whole lot of back and forth. And I know that sounds crazy. I'm just like, okay, I'm done waiting on these people. This is stupid. I've got great credit. I've got pockets full of money. And y'all are taking 100 years to approve a loan? This is dumb. I'll just write a check. And I'll just go borrow the money against the cars. And I just never got around to borrowing the money against the cars. But my point is, yeah, I have nice cars. But I could have nicer cars than the ones I got. I could. If I wanted to buy a Bugatti, I could go buy a Bugatti and pay cash for it. I could. But why would I? I could already own a jet. But why would I? It'd just be sitting there, because I sure ain't fixing to have nobody on my jet just doing all kinds of no. When I buy my jet, it ain't getting leased out. It's going to sit there until me and my family get ready to go somewhere. Okay. So you say, Myron, what's your point? My point is, you're so much better off living below your means. I live so far below my means. So far below my means. Our business generates 7 figures a month. I pay myself like a very modest salary. To some of you, if I told you, it's like I pay myself no more now than I paid myself when I was making a tenth what we're making now. Why? Because I've got a poverty fantasy and a prosperity reality. I'd rather look broke. Now, generally speaking, like if you saw me out in public at the golf course, you would not know that I'm some rich dude. You would just say, "Oh, there goes a guy playing golf," right? Right? Because when I'm in the marketplace and I'm attracting the high level entrepreneurs. Yeah, I've got a little bit of flash and a little bit, like even this watch. Somebody gave me this watch. I just don't. My very first pair of expensive sneakers, somebody gave them to me. Like when I say expensive, they were like $90, right? That was back in the day. Like somebody gave them to me. I'm not spending $90 on a pair of tennis shoes. Now I do, but back then, no. Like look poor and be rich. I'd rather look poor and be rich than be poor and look rich. So many people want to be poor and look rich. Yeah, you want to have all the bling and you want to have all the fancy cars with the wheels and the this and the that and the expensive designer clothes. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff unless it's making you poor. Stop wearing your wealth. Myron, but you don't understand. Money talks. Yeah, money talks, but wealth whispers, baby. Wealth whispers. And stop being so conspicuous. And just keep it quiet as it's kept. You want to know something funny? I was making $70,000 a month before anybody in my family knew I was rich. And that was like 70,000 rich. Knew that kind of money. I lived in a simple house that I bought for $175,000. Had a nice little GMC, whatever that thing was called. It was like a Chevy Blazer. Just doesn't, let poverty create wealth for you. Like, look broke as a joke and then take that money and invest it in something that's going to make more money. If you will do these 4 things that I share with you today, I'm telling you, being broke can make you rich. Like, not kind of rich, sort of rich, maybe rich, a little rich. I'm talking about really rich. You'll apply these 4 things. So allow yourself to tap into the power of poverty as your path to prosperity. I promise you, you'll be glad you did. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you on your quest to